Alrighty, welcome. Let's see here. Hello, Cookie. Welcome everyone. As you know, I gotta do a couple more clicks. My entire setup is completely different, so the audio audio might be a little bit different, but hopefully it should be okay. Okay, I think we're just about good. Let's see, I can do one more click. Welcome. I can't see you right now, but I will click a couple more buttons. Let's see. That's clicked over here. That could be clicked. Okay. I think we're good. If everything else is working good, alrighty. We'll go switch over to here. Welcome to hand cam. I don't know what you would call this. Welcome to hand cam. If you remember last time, welcome. I was trying to make a 3D model to make a paper craft because I was inspired to make. While also trying to make different 3D models just so I can get better at Blender and how to make better 3D models in general for the movie. So the movie spawned off into like making 3D models and want to make that better. That spawned into like, well, what if I make paper crafts? And then it's like, well, how do I make paper crafts? You know. So that spawned into this. So yeah, it's gonna be a little different. This whole week is extremely experimental. Just want to try something different, shake things up so it's not as stale or boring or whatever. Because I don't know how many times I can like animate or draw things. So when this is one of my OG hobbies that when I was a teenager, I kind of told you last time, but when I was a teenager, there was a magazine. I don't know if it was exactly Nintendo Power, but it might have been something close to that. But like in there was like a little, very small like picture and blurb. That had like a Mario 64 style model, and then that was made out of paper. And so I was like, ooh, what's that? And it had a link to a website, and I was like, look at this website. Let me look at that. And then it was like, wow. There's a whole world of all these, and then you get onto papercraft.com and Nintendo Papercraft and a whole bunch of these. That's like really cool. So that adds to like just this huge collection and hobby that I really like, and I guess unfortunately too that I kind of not really grew out of it, but I just kind of moved on, I guess, to doing animation and I guess now 3D work a little bit, but not really. But yeah. This will probably take an hour and a half to make completely. I timed it with a completed version. I already cooking showed it, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, Cookie. But I already made this one. So this is what my first version of this, really just afternoon making it. So I timed it to be roughly about hour and 10 minutes. So based on how long it'll take to, the streams usually take, longer than whatever I estimate. But hopefully it should take maybe like an hour and a half, maybe like close to maybe 2 hours. Because I know everything gets a little bit slower. But yeah, we're gonna make this. I redesigned a little bit of the hair, like only like a half hour ago. So yeah, some of this hair, as you can see on this hair here is now a little bit longer. And there are the little things. Each side is a little bit longer. So as you see, like now it looks very like she only has hair in the front. So welcome. We're gonna get going on this probably pretty promptly. Hello everyone. But yeah, if there's anything before I should get really going on it, I gotta drink some water first. This template is not available right now at the time of this recording, but I hope to once I like figure out like if I make this one and if this one looks good, then I'll publish it, or if it needs more little tiny tweaks. I even like added like one small thing that no one would notice, but only me. I added a tab here, because on this one it has basically a blank. Nothing is connecting from this edge. So I added a tab there, so we'll see if that works better. Another little small things between, again, this version and this one is a little bit different, but never do mind. They're very minute. So I also added wings to this one, as this one does not have wings. So with that out of the way, how are we all doing? Alright, hello, Cookie, Commenter, Dark Artist. Welcome, guys. I love Russian name. I'm sorry I'm not able to pronounce. It is sort of Minecraft-esque in a way that it's basically just using 6-sided geometry boxes. So I would say so, but I think the proportions, I think last time we said we made it more chibi where the head is larger than the body size. So in that case, I would say it's sort of more inspired by Cubee, C-U-B-E-E, Cubee Craft. That's basically where the main inspiration for how the proportions and a lot of this design is sort of on that. So if you like to get into this, I recommend Cubee Craft. As they have a lot of pop culture designs of different characters, as well as being really, really simple to assemble. So I would say that this would be beginner to intermediate, just from the amount of parts, having to know how everything kind of fits together in the first place. Intermediate, that it's just kind of a lot of little parts that don't really make sense on first glance at some point. But I think that's pretty much all the preamble I can think of. Cubee Craft, not sponsored anyway, but they have wonderful designs. They do it a little bit differently from how this is. This is more the traditional style where it has these types of tabs. With Cubee Crafts, they have more, you can do it without glue, if that makes sense. So it'll have a tab, and then another part that would go into it would be an insert tab. So you would have a hole, and then the other part that would go into it would just go into it like that. Instead of being on top of each other, it would insert inside. So it depends on what you would like to do with that, but I just want to, I'm more used to this kind of style, so that's what I did with this. Hello. Russian. I don't know, but say hi. From me, translators. Thank you. Welcome. But yeah, I think I'll get started. As I said, this might take a while. As well as I'll probably get distracted by you guys, but that's totally okay. Just to keep the conversation going, as well. If I get too into this is how you do it, go ahead and interrupt me if you want. But yeah, I'm gonna get going on this. So I'm gonna start snipping away. And we can see how long this takes. Not that, we don't have to do it all today, but it'd just be weird to have 2 parts when there's not really. By the end of an hour, I should be 90% done with this. So I'm just gonna get going on this. So there we go. So I'm using scissors. I probably should explain what the materials are first. Let's do that first, actually. So hang on. Jump the gun there. I'm using scissors. So this is regular. Actually, they're left-handed scissors. It's hard to see there, but it has a little L mark on there to make sure that you right-handers, you don't touch this one. This is my left-handed one. This is my OG again, if that's even the right way. My original pair of scissors from probably when I was 13, 14. And I love them, and they're still not as sharp, but probably they still work. So you can follow along with this, I guess, later on once I get the template out and make sure it's perfect. So but yeah. Hello, Derpy Hooves. Ever watch Art Attack? No, that was, I believe, an Australian show, but I know that they eventually did it later. Ooh, what I did watch was Out of the Box. It was a preschool Disney. What is it? Disney Junior art Out of the Box. That was classic late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, that was my jam. yeah, I love that show. That really inspired me to like be like more artsy and do things. So that was like, it was like preschool on TV, of just like how they had stories and then puppets and then skits and then plays and some art, and it was really fun. This is regular Elmer's glue. Don't know how old it is, but it's probably pretty old. Still has a lot in it, so this is gonna be part of my main thing. I also use toothpicks. Got one out so it doesn't shake around too much for you. Toothpicks are very useful. Okay. Good night. Who was that? Okay, thank you. Okay. Toothpicks are very useful for like when these arms where like it becomes like a tube and you can't like get all the way to like the surface area of it. So once we get to here, we can use the toothpick to like get inside and then make sure all the creases are nice and flat. Ever watching things? Never felt like, yeah. Problem was that most of them, they always expect you to always have like all these, you know, like a whole trunk of like art materials, but never actually, you never really always have them on hand. But yeah, that's actually it for materials. This is basically what I did like 10 years ago. It's pretty weird to do it. But yeah, okay. So we're gonna use glue a little bit later once we cut things out. These are the ears, and this is toothpick. Put toothpick back in there. Okay. Let's keep going on this. See how distracted I get like each time. I'll try to make sure that you guys can see it as I cut it. It's gonna be tricky. Gotta do it at a weird angle for me. I have to like hug the camera stand. Okay. Do a bubble cut. And then I just got to. I'll just have to see and feel like what kind of angle works for you guys to see what I'm doing best. But obviously once I cut it out, then it's not really a big deal. Anything else I could say would be, I designed it in a way where the solid lines are different from the hashed lines. So there's dotted lines that tell you to fold, and then there's solid lines that tell you where to cut. Obviously, because this is fairly simple design, you don't really have to think too much about whether or not to cut things. It's basically just the outline. There's no crazy like hexagon design, which, you know, if I went with my original plan, I probably would have gone with that kind of a design of trying, if you remember my Animal Crossing crossover 3D model, I would have tried to figure out how to make that into Bitcraft. Wouldn't be too much in principle different from this, but just using a different geometry or using different parts on top of parts. Where instead of this being one piece, it would be, well, depending on exactly how it was flattened or geometrized. I just made up the word geometrized right here. But yeah, depending on how the actual geometry of the model is, will determine how the pieces look, how the pieces will fit together. Like if geometry is more like a sphere, then it gets more complicated. Because then you have to do with like how do you connect, you know, if you have a sphere and you make it like really simple, like an I'm gonna say like icosphere, but not many people know what that means. So you can look up more complicated papercraft designs. But anyway, this is what you get after you cut out the outline. So this is the piece that you would get. Looking good so far. Welcome, Scout. I've only got this far so far, so you're not too late. But I just want to keep going with this. Let's see. So hard to see on the camera, and I know it gets really blurry, but on my piece there's dotted ant lines for each segment here, and then each tab. So these little white pieces will fold down. So there's a difference between mountain and valley folds. If you get more complicated pieces or models or paper crafts, they might and most definitely would want you to figure out and definitely just know already what a mountain fold and a valley fold is. I'll get a different piece of paper. But basically, a mountain fold is if you have a piece, you fold it onto itself down, and that becomes a mountain. See, that becomes like a mountain. But if you fold it the other way, so it folds on, if this was printed side, printed to printed side, folds over, and you get a valley. So that's a V for valley. So if it's mountain, it would be printed, but then it would fall down on the opposite ends. It becomes a mountain, and then a valley fold would be the other way. So, little thing with that. So now I can say like each of these are mountain folds. But how are we doing? Stop motion paper crafts. I'm gonna be the same sort of style as if it was. Hello, unknown. Get you in there. It would be the same kind of technique as regular stop motion as well as regular paper crafts. The only issue would be that these are, I can't. It's not an action figure. I can't swivel or everything's glued together. You would have to figure out how to either make this become adjustable to make it action figure-y, or have here's this pose for frame 1. Let's make an entirely new one for frame 2, and then you can use poses like that. But I would recommend, somewhere in the middle of that, I would think. Unknown. This is just a straight paper craft. This isn't gonna be anything bigger than that. But of course I could, yeah. New idea. Definitely. I'll see what it works. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got to either make the paper craft model action figurable, or have the or just make a million different poses, and then I guess you can even like do like an animation, like an animatic to see, and fold this one. Make an animatic to see like which poses you might need, and then try to figure out like the least amount of poses if you want to go that route. Especially if you like want to have like this one have a different face or a different blink, it would have to be a different head, kind of a thing. Can you have adjustable limbs with drawing pins? Drawing pins? You mean like fasteners or something? I suppose that could work. Like the little safety pin, not safety pin, but like the fastener kind of office thing. I suppose that it'll depend on what kind of model it is. Especially how it's set up as well. But then it's like, how's it gonna hold its pose for long enough to take a picture, as well as getting the minute variations and everything that you want. So that's why I would like sort of just make it. It's weird to make it like to think like the easier example or method is to just make it have a million versions of it. But yeah. Of course, you could just do like the simple like, I'm gonna walk over there and then you just take a picture, and then it doesn't really animate, which some people will be happy with that, and others will be like, no, it's gotta be more like actual stop motion. So what I just did was that I folded down the white tabs in a mountain fold, and I folded each part. So I can make this into a cube. I designed it in a way so that the hair, you can see that, the hair actually sticks out from the side. That was a little design choice that I like. So it creates more. So it's not just a flat cube that has just happens to have a face on it, but it has a little hair that comes out. So I thought that was cute. Next up, we need to get the glue. So open it up. Make sure it's open. Make sure it can breathe. Maybe carefully. Go ahead and put some dab couple. This is where it gets messy. So if you do it this way, you're definitely gonna have to have like some kind of something else, like get all the residue off your fingers. But that's the fun of it. It's pretty messy in this way, just that you're gonna have a bunch of glue all over you. Let's see. Let me just line it up. So again, the tab will go underneath the edge, and you're connecting it to. And then I'm applying pressure from both ends, from the outside and the inside, to apply pressure to make sure it becomes no bubbles, it's straight, and it doesn't have anything else. I don't know if it makes it faster to dry, but it just seems like it does if you just hold it for long enough. And make sure that it's in place, for sure. And again, for this special piece, I have the hair sticking out, so I'm not going to glue those in, but I might fold them back out or add a little direction or point to it. So that'll be one glue. You can see how much more gluing to do, but yep. That's why it takes a while, especially if I wanted to do more complicated ones. Maybe at the end I could do like a toasted image show, maybe like something else, like my other paper crafts. Maybe it'll be fun. I forgot to take any pictures of them, so I might have to just take this camera and like move it. Okay. So I'm gonna fold this out so it makes it a little bit easier. And then let's add some more. I'm in a little bit low light because the camera with highlight, if there's a lot of light from my webcam, it starts to like band and like animate the bands. So that's not really fun to watch. I know there's a slightly bit of like weird artifacts with the webcam, but that's as best as I'm gonna get with this kind of model. So going in on both ends, applying pressure, and then kind of like relocating and readjusting everything is. So, okay. Did I catch the Nintendo Direct? Yes. That was really fun. I know it was a mini, so it wasn't quite the most, like, whoa, like, not really E3 or anything like that in terms of scale and everything. So, wasn't really expecting that much, especially with the indies, because we already knew what most of the indies were, so that was fine. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love playing Nintendo. That's what the Paper Mario style was sort of reference to that. Let's see. Surprised I did anything? Yeah. I was surprised that I guess I sort of had to in some way. Talk about the elephant in the room. About the, some of the releases might be a little bit shifted around or rescheduled because of the pandemic. So, I added a lot of glue, so it's going to take a while for it to dry, so I'm just getting all the major bubbles and readjusting it. There we go. Alrighty. So once it feels kind of like not as wet with the glue, I can move on. Alright. So there we go. So I got the top skull pretty good. We're going to cover it with the hat, so I'm not too paranoid if this is exact. But yeah. There's one more. I kind of actually honestly just kind of skipped through it with the direct. I didn't like watch every second of it. Even like the Xenoblade and all those. I'm not really a Xenoblade fan. All those like major RPGs. I don't know. When I really like, if I have time to like play any game, it would probably be Animal Crossing at this point. Which I'm doing pretty good on that. Animal Crossing is fantastic. Move over so I can be more centered for you. Let's see where I am. I was going to talk about Animal Crossing, but let's see. Okay. New Smash character. Yeah. It is interesting that they didn't, like, say outright. I don't know why. Maybe they didn't actually choose one yet, but they're like, well, someone's going to care. I'll be worried about it. I don't know. One of the idea I had was that, well, maybe it could be like the entire cast in, because it's like, well, a character's good to have like stretchy arms, so it's like, isn't that all of them? I know like the twin tail, like she doesn't actually use her arms, she uses her hair. Got a little dirty on here, but that's good. I'll scrape it off. Where did I put my thingy here? Scrape some of the glue off. It's gonna be under the chin, so I'm not worried about that either. But yeah, I played ARMS. Obviously for not too long. I think once they like, once they like added like a couple more characters as DLC or whatever, it's like great, you know. I could play for like another round and go, yep, they're not really characters at some level. Rather than like, well, if I could put any kind of arm onto that same character, and it's like, that's not really as unique anymore. I digress. I think it'll be fine. Even if it's just like the first regular, the default man. What was his name? Mr. Sweeney. Even if it's Jim, I mean, it's gonna be okay. I already, you know, already somewhat sadly like used to like disappointment with the new characters. So, this is the hat. A little bit about it is that when I was unfolding it, it was 3 different parts. They were not the same scale. They didn't even really fit together. So, had to do a lot of math, and thankfully, it works. So, it's really tricky to like figure out like figure out the math between these different sections, like figure out the geometry of it, or like figure out how many sides I want there to be, figure out the angles, a whole bunch more stuff. And it gets like tab speed last thing, but it's not really that hard, but just like relocating a couple tabs or whatever. Anyway. But yeah, let's see. I played Pepsi Man. Was that a Japanese exclusive for like a PlayStation? So I'm gonna say no. Definitely seen reviews and documentations about it. There's one, they played it on Awesome Games Done Quick, the speedrunners. So I watched on that. Definitely. I don't have much more to say about that. Let's see. Okay. Cut the hat out. Then we gotta fold it. So it becomes like just kind of like, almost like Zen. It's kind of like how people, I guess I could say, like crocheting or knitting, like just get into this rhythm of like fold. I don't know how you do it. Put the strings and the needles and do the thing, and you just do that over and over, like becomes a pattern. So that's kind of how I feel like this. That it's like you just kind of get into like the rhythm of like you cut it out, you fold the tabs down, nice and Good. And then you glue it, and then put it together, and you move on. Maybe that's why I liked it. It's just that it has this nice forward momentum, I guess, to it. Like, every piece, you know, is important, usually. So, never really feels like you're just wasting time a lot of the time. Especially with, like, these kind of low-level, basic... I say this basic because I'm used to making much more elaborate, you know, like, I might show you later, that people can rip video game models. That means that they can take the data, the mesh data, the textures from video games, which I would say is that illegal? I don't know. If we try selling it, that'd be bad. But people would do that, where they can take the mesh data, geometry, textures from video games, and then you can make the same kind of template where you just have the mesh and then you unfold it, and then you fold it back together in paper form. So people have been doing that for like basically every game. I'm sure there's like some games where it's just not where they have nothing for more obscure, or it's mostly for 3D games, obviously, because it's more of a 3D thing. So only some of this is legal. Okay, there we go. So I'm not for this kind of project. I'm not gonna sell this, obviously, as I don't own the horse rights. But I could definitely give it a template for this. So I think you have fun with this. But again, I'll have the template once I'm ready for it. Once I feel like it meets some standard, I guess. But yeah, I was saying something else. Oh, that the more elaborate models, people have ripped Super Smash Bros. Brawl, of all things, as one of them. So, if you can imagine Mario in his Smash Bros. Brawl model, it and then try to recreate that in paper. It looks pretty good, you know, all things considered once you put it together, but then it's like, yeah, that's about like months and paper and ink. It's probably the most expensive part of it. But yeah, I made a whole bunch once I get to it. So, got a little cliffhanger for you. Keep you guys going. See him draw Mario cutout? What's the cutout? Because I know like there's cardboard standees and all those. You know, like you have celebrities as cardboard cutouts. But yeah. Okay, me paper graph. Okay. That's what I'm more used to is paper graph. Yep. Glue in. Okay. Get some off me. There we go. Let's see. Waluigi. Waluigi. Wild character. Yeah. I don't know. I'm more of a... If in like Mario Party or one of those Mario spin-offs, if someone else for some reason takes Yoshi, I think my second is Wario. So, I'm not like huge into like, you know, we gotta get Waluigi in. It's just like I got Wario. It's like I'm fine. Let's see. So that's hat. It's kind of like a Mario 64 type of hat in some way, but with less polygons. I think the Mario 64 hat even had more polygons than this. But I probably should have said like if you make this this brim should be a valley fold. See how that goes up, and everything else goes down. It makes a mountain. I know it's all perception between that, but it's just like you can remember like valley is you can look through it and then you can see both of the printed parts. But for mountain, if you fold it, you can see both of these. like that. So, alrighty. So now we gotta glue the hat onto the head. That'll be your next thing. There we go. I like when I make like other people's models, I would always kind of like put it together and see like if that's right and make sure everything's looking good, and then I'll glue it. So okay, we're getting there. Probably should speed up a little bit, but haste makes waste, so I probably don't want to do that, especially when trying to make this nice. I think this is probably as fast as I'll probably be able to do. Probably as fast as I'll be able to go. So, hope you don't mind that. Keep forgetting to. I did this earlier this afternoon, so. What am I saying? Just kind of know what I'm doing, so I'm not probably explaining everything as I do. But yeah. Let's see. My hands are all sweaty. Let's see. What's that guy's doing? I could use a toothpick to like get in there and maybe kind of make sure everything's really secure. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite hobbies. Is trying to do this. I don't know why. It's definitely the most like taxing really to do. Some kind of sense. It's just like it's not like, you know, easier hobbies like knitting or anything. I don't know if that's easier, but it just seems like, oh, this is easy for me, I guess, with all this practice. It's like, oh, that's pretty good. How's that looking? It's gonna be blurry, but yeah, you can see some more details in here. I want it to be like the simplest, kind of like, how can I make a hat like the most less geometry kind of thing. So there we go. I can add the ears in. Probably do all the head first. Headpiece parts. I think that's all good. Should be good. Know you'd be bad at it? Yeah. I mean, my first one was definitely pretty bad. It wasn't the first paper graph that I did like was like a Mario Superstar. It wasn't like this kind of typical like style that I would find it to be traditional like this, where it's just like a cube and a bunch of bups or whatever. But I guess the more ones that I do would be more kind of 64, maybe a GameCube style level of fidelity in terms of geometry. So this is nice to go back to, like, just starting again with like these basic kind of designs and templates. So that's what we call a template, where it's a flattened out model, and then you use this template to cut out and make. One trick with this is that I know that I'll be folding it onto itself, is that I could have folded it, and then once I cut it out, then I'll know that each of these are exactly the same, but that's okay. Not really going for exact perfectness. Let's see. Here you go. Have something to look at there. Boop boop. Terrible. Okay. Is it chibi paper? Paper graph. Yes. I'm really sweaty and this is getting kind of wet. Ugh. Getting the paper wet. Ugh. Hang on. Okay. I'm also wearing my bathrobe, so that might be adding extra heat. It's really cold in here, so I don't know. Probably just the added stress of trying to do this good for you guys. Okay. Trying to unfold this. There we go. So you hit the nail on the head there, unknown. Good job. Yep. I was trying to look at it from the webcam view. Let's see. I can talk about a little about my Animal Crossing. My town's really growing. So I guess since last time, I've got my bladders. He's doing great. Added a lot of stuff to him. Gave him a lot of donation stuff, so he's really happy. Let's see. It's going pretty good. I finally got the what would you call it? The tool to the ladder. I got the ladder, so now I can go onto higher elevations. Elevations. So now I can check out my whole island. It's pretty nice. It's like finally I can do that. So I got 3 tickets. So I went there 3 times to 3 different islands. But I didn't realize that you have to actually furnish the houses of each of those. So I didn't know. So now I got to make like 12 different items for everyone. So it's gonna take a bit to do all that. I mean, it took just like, you know, like 4 or 5 days really to like even get all the bits to, what is it? Oh, to give Timmy the three different woods and the iron. What is it, like 30 times 4 items? So yeah, that was actually a longer thing to do for me. And to do it all at the same time was really hard to collect that many. So let's see. What you guys on GBA? I had my first Game Boy was a Game Boy Advance, so I didn't really have that many games really to choose out of that. I think my favorite would probably be like, I don't know. Trying to think of, I think I like hate all. I hated like most of the ones that I got, and I only got like 4. So, good track record with that. Trying to think, because I had like Shrek 2. I think I got like Shrek 2, and then like a Puss in Boots Shrek game. So, and they weren't that great. I think there was like a Yoshi's Island, Mario World 2 remake, Mario Advance 4, Mario Brothers 3. Yeah, Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. I got into that pretty good. Never beat it. It was definitely really challenging. That's really about it. It's pretty lame. I got it like a little bit before I got a GameCube, so I spent more time on GameCube instead. So I just added the ear. So there you go. So I'll do that on the other side. These are easier to apply. Apply onto here. A little bit of glue. Let's see. In Town Hall. Yeah, I've heard about the Town Hall. So I know that's after you get most of your islanders, or at least a lot of islanders, to be there first. That's what I heard. So once I get all the materials and craft all the things, then I'll catch up to you. But yeah, it's going pretty good. I really like it. I think, yeah, from the Nook Mile incentive, that kind of game loop, where it's like, you fish 5 fish, and then you complete a task, and then you get a new one, and it's like catch $5, and it's like, okay, I'll do that next. You know, it's like really fun. That's the head. I could have the ears lower, but now they're kind of glued on there, so that's okay. Maybe when you do it, you have them a little bit lower. There you go. That's the head done. I think the hair going off to more to the side looks a little better. So there you go. So now the rest of it will be making the body, and then little extra details here and there, and then we'll be good. So So, alright. Let me get some water. Yeah. Okay. Alright, we're supposed to see what I'm doing. Here. I was gonna do it on my. We got wings and tail on here, but I'll make the torso body first. So move over there. I feel like I have to like lean in backwards. Over here. So the process of making this was pretty fun. I know like last time I was like, I'm not, gonna do this on stream to figure out like how am I supposed to make the rest of it. But all things considered, like what it gave me out, what Blender gave me was actually pretty good, and essentially gave me something like this, and then I just kind of like morphed it a little bit. Like I only like moved like maybe like 2 or 3 tabs, and this is what it gave me. And then I just colored it in with the texture, which I was able to draw everything in Flash just because I'm used to that. That's the animation tool that I use. So I was able to use an animation tool to make a papercraft design. So that's pretty cool. And it really helped because Blender was able to export it as a SVG, scalable vector graphic type thing. So I was able to export my Blender papercraft template UV thing, which essentially was just this without the color. So it gave me the boxes and tabs, and then the tabs and the folds. So it gave me a solid line for the outline and the dash lines. So as well as it being SVG, I was able to use the I was able to manipulate, I guess, I always say like the atoms of it, because I'm able to change directly the actual art of it down to like how everything is drawn. That I could have like moved the arcs or the line angles. Like I could bring this line up or down and adjust it, but obviously I want it to be flat, so, or straight, so helps with that. So let's make another cube. I designed it this way. I designed it where the tabs are on these 3 sides, so when you fold it, you get a nice tab to just fold down. I find that a little bit easier than trying to have like, if the tab happens to be on this end, so we'd have a tab here, and then not a tab here, and it just comes like, well, you gotta like put it here, and then like, oh, well, this one has to fold underneath that, so it comes like this, like when you try to like fold a box, or like try to fold a box in a secure way, where like you have the cardboard like tabs, like the four pieces, and like you kind of pull one down and then over, and then you have another one that goes underneath one and then over another one. So it became like that kind of problem where it's just like it becomes too tricky at that point, where you have to like have in that case have like one tab be below that, then this one needed to be round and behind that one, so it's just like not a good deal with that. So that's about that. This was really fun to create. It's kind of weird like going from like straight 3D to into this, just because I'm used to how in 3D it's usually already a model, and then if I wanted to see like the opposite side, I would have to turn the 3D model around. But when I was designing it as a flat, it's like, what does this side and this side look? How do they look? And it's like, oh, I'll be able to see the entire 360 view of it at once. So that became pretty cool. Like, came a new kind of perspective on that. where, yeah, where I can see everything at once to see if everything's lining up and everything. So I put her in her male outfit. So I feel like it'd be weird if she was like naked. It becomes more iconic where she's wearing the male outfit for me anyway. And she's usually wearing it throughout the movie anyway too, as well as the newer cartoons. So, became more iconic. I guess in some way, if you guys want, you could use this template and then recolor it. But obviously a lot of the accessories are specific to Derpy in this case, so you might not need the hat. Other small things like the hair, you would have to design that differently. So instead of it being like jutty out like here, you might change that into whatever design. You have an OC or something, you can use that. But yeah, you have to like redesign this. Instead of a shirt, you would have to change it to be one color all the way through and change this to be one color. So you have to get rid of the collar and everything. So added this to be, I guess, in some way it's like over-designed, so then if you wanted to make it, you have to make it simpler. So that's folded, that's pretty good. And then this knight's cube, and then we just glue it. And again, like the other QB, CUBE, those designs, they use the insert tabs instead of the top layering tabs, I guess we could call these. So in that case, you wouldn't need glue, but at the same time, the structural integrity would be not as strong as if actually using this glue. Another thing too, if I want to, I could design it to be to make it easier in some ways to actually make this. At least to assemble it, you would need to have either make the scale of the entire model bigger, which will in turn make the tabs bigger, or just make the tabs bigger. I feel like that's, you know, I've done enough to like know like somewhat like my personal pet peeves with some designers where they just use the smallest tabs, or like they use some kind of software like Peppercura, but then don't design the tabs to be scalable or even like makeable with like big meaty hands. But again, as I was like a teenager, my hands were a little bit smaller, so I was able to get into all these nooks and crannies and be able to make things a little bit easier. But now I have to like rely on more tools like toothpicks to be able to do these simple small areas. I don't know if I'll be able to get into more complicated designs like the Smash Bros ones, because some of those are, it depends on the scale of them. Scale will be how big it is. So if it is bigger, then it'd be somewhat simpler, but then at the same time, your ink usage, if you do it in, even if you just do it in black and white, the color version would be a lot of color. I think I forgot to mention at the beginning too was that the my printer apparently is not happy with what kind of colors I chose. I had to like add some kind of filter onto this webcam, so it looks a little bit different from how I see things. But this is supposed to be white. This is white on the little wing part, but yeah, basically, I have to like add some filters, make it more contrasty so you can see like the tabs easier. But yeah, the colors on my printer are not screen accurate to what I expected, so that made me a little upset. And it wasn't quite what I was looking for. So even with this one, still not quite, because I actually made the other one with an old with like ink that was like running dry. This is getting wobbly. And the glue isn't dry enough yet to be able to figure this out. Probably got all my sweat on here too. Let's see. I have to wait for this to dry just a little bit, and then we can mold it more exactly, and it should be good. Okay. Yeah, it just takes a little bit more time. Gotta be patient. So, can't really rush it. I know that we're just about out of time now, and to do all this would probably take another 20-30 minutes. So, what would you like to do? Because I could finish this up and say, well, we'll have to do this next time, or I can make this into like an hour and a half or 2-hour stream and then have something else next time. The rest of it isn't difficult, but probably just like as slow going as what this is. So, what would you guys like to see? I guess because I already have like a model to say like, well, I can say like, whoop, we're done, kind of thing. But what would you like? Half hour, no toaster time. Okay. Yeah, because the alternative is just to like say like, well, we could do another whole stream of this, and then it might be slightly short or whatever. I can definitely stretch things out. But it'd be like if you guys are interested in seeing this for the long run of this. I don't really have places to be after this, so that's not really an issue. It'd just be if this is entertaining or anything like that. I'm just applying pressure to each of this. You should use parts just to make sure, because I know I'm gonna be squishing it a bunch of times. This is basically where the neck connects, so I'm making sure. So like that, maybe it'd be best for another stream. I think so. Maybe we could like finish this and say, oh, we're done. And then, yeah. Save it for another idea. Yeah. Not that this is like, oh, I'm tired of drawing, I'm gonna do this from now on or do anything like that. But, yeah, I don't really have a concrete idea of what I want to do next, actually, for a new stream. So, that'd be good, yeah. And I could definitely stretch it out, but, yeah. Or I could probably just stop here and then, well, that's not really, that only takes like that much. And then that'll be done. The arms can take a little while. This is pretty simple. That's folding and doing that. That's actually a tail. So, and then just putting it together. But yeah. There you go. I can do this one part and then we can say we're good. Then I can do a sign off, and then I can do a proper toast time. That'll be fun. Okay, so let's do it. Here we go. This doesn't take too long to like set up either. If the meta, the camera and the lights are pretty modular in some cases, so you're not like can only do this once kind of a thing. It's like, yeah, I can recreate this setup, or I can keep it like this in this room if I need to. Especially there's not much else that would need this kind of. What am I talking about? This particular setup doesn't really need too much time to set up. Yeah. But yeah. So in that case, should I go ahead and make this template available? The only issue with that would be if people come in next week and then they see me halfway done with this and then they want to catch up, they'd be like, oh no, what do I do? How to make this? Like, this is basically like a tutorial now. And then it'd be like, oh, go watch part 1. You know, you have to go and find it. That'd be the only thing I can see. Yeah, just tell him. Hello, an original name. Ooh. There you go. Pin it in the chat. Like the link to the video. Link to the part 1. I can do that. So in part 2, I can put a link to this one. Hello. You'll be good. Okay. So alright. I think it's gonna dry. I'm gonna leave it alone. Gonna get the sweat off. Ah, there's a lot of sweat. Okay. Excuse me. Let's close this. So that's kind of how you get started with this. I know this is not. If you're not super entertained with this, I'm sorry. We'll eventually, I guess, go into more, probably like more traditional types of streams later on. But for now, this is just a little experiment. I think it's fun. Yeah, it's really cute. I can have little twins when I'm done with this. So, okay. Thanks you guys for watching. Hope you had fun watching this. No, I had a lot of fun doing this. This is a very, again, very experimental. I'm not. Usually, this is kind of project where like it uses a lot more techniques that. Excuse me. I'm not the most familiar with. Because I'm not exactly the most 3D modeler kind of a guy. I definitely modeled enough that this is actually possible. I modeled this myself, so I had a little tail. But yeah, modeling this was, you even saw it on stream, that it took like 10 minutes. It was everything else that was like, how do I do this kind of a thing. I like changing the pace a lot. So, I don't know. You go to like some people and it's like, oh, they're playing the one game again kind of people, which that's fair. But to be like this kind of like, I'm like too artsy and creative that's like feel like too boxed in of just doing that. Especially just doing like even animation at some point. It's like I want to do something else. It's like sometimes like even doing like Inktober, I was doing that one stream where I drew an Inktober on stream. So that was really fun. So I want to do like more out of the box stuff, like more here and there. So hope you had fun with this one. Because I think if there is more inspiration, or if you'd like to see something else, I think can be on the table. Let's say that. But yeah. Hope you had fun with this. But yeah, using these different kind of techniques of past dreams modeling, was trying to figure out like how do I make it flatten. It's basically just at the end of the day just using the UVs, and just making sure that the seams are correct. Actually, one of the hardest parts was just making sure that the scale and everything actually worked. Because as I said, like with the hat, the way that they exported was like, again, like 3 different parts where this triangle didn't really match up with the scale of this polygon at this point, but I guess it's a face. So trying to figure out like, well, if I know that this side here has to match the height of this square, and then I want it to be this long and this height, and then it just got really complicated trying to make this 3D of it, but apparently I made it. As well as adding this little flap build thing that's really fun. I just re-added this shape here. So again, that's be a valley fold for V, the 2 points connect. The rest of it is pretty simple. That's just the tail here. The ears look pretty good. So, enough of that. So yes, I guess I'll say we're good here. And then next time, I'll do the parts that you see on this one that are not on here. So, I'll finish this one. Everything's not connected right now. The hat's on, but yeah. Let's go to toaster time. Oop. Toaster time. Okay. Welcome. Okay. Let me catch my breath. Okay, I gotta breathe and then take some water. Oh, I should get the camera ready so I can show you the studio mode. Okay. Oops. Let me move the mic. I have to move the mic a bit. Sorry about that. This might make a sound. Okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna undo the camera. I'm unwinding it out of the socket. There you go. Okay. Let's see. What can I show you guys? How much should I not show? And then I can go back from there. Okay. Might be able to move out. Let's see. Maybe I should go this way. I haven't really planned this out. I think that should be good. I'm not sure if there's anything there. Probably not to there. I'm just trying to line it up so that I don't show everything. I think that should be good. Okay. Transition. Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry about the chat. This is my room. This is my studio, I suppose. So this is my this is my bookcase. Let me get my mic a little closer. So this is where I work. That's my bookcase over there. If I pull back a little bit, I can do this. This is my studio. That's my paper craft table that you just saw. More bunch of toys. The green screen. Hopefully that should work. A little fire extinguisher there. So I wanted to show this. This is the bookshelf. So you can see I probably can't zoom in too much, but so at the top there's the Mario and Luigi from Smash Bros. Brawl. So those took probably the Mario took like 3 or 4 months, and Luigi probably the same time. But yeah, you can see the other smaller paper crafts. There's Wind Waker, Link. Probably the Bowser took just as long. Several months. So, other little collection stuff. I don't know how much. It's really interesting. But yeah, there's a little more stuff there. In those binders, like the red one on the left bookshelf, those are my Pokemon cards. So you can see just as much Pokemon fandom as well. Not really too sorted. I guess they're pretty sorted, but just like random little childhood toys and other stuff and plushies that are all over there. Yeah. That's a lot of paper crafts. All those, yeah, the bigger ones, obviously the not amiibo side ones that are over there are paper crafts, yes. Yeah, Eevee has those shades, are like, I think they're like Pokemon Red, or like his shades. But yeah. Let's see. Hidden Dalek. Yeah, he's over there. That's the like cardboard standee that I was thinking you were talking about. I think that's about it. I'll have to put the mic down. Let's see. Okay. Hope you had fun with that. I'm probably too loud. Okay. Let's see. Okay, gotta recenter everything. Okay, how we doing? Record old toys. Oh, I could. That's usually the bulk of it. I'm probably hiding a couple things behind the green screen. Let's see. Hello. Tiger. Tigger. Yeah. What mic do I use? I use a little lapel mic. It's probably like a $15 mic lapel USB. Like lapel, off Amazon. I forgot exactly what it's. Yeah, I forgot what it's called. But yeah, it's just super cheap, and it's probably not the best, but I wanted to have like a USB mic, so I could just plug it in and don't worry about it. So it's definitely not at all professional, but works pretty well. Definitely gets all the ambient noises around me. So let's see. Anything else? I could probably show the other half of my room, probably on the next stream. So on part 2, I could probably show the other side. Yeah, we need the boo. Yep. As I said, like a lot of stuff is probably like half of this stuff is like childhood toys. So it's just like a collection now, unfortunately. So that's pretty boring. Yeah, I don't really. I want to play more. I want to like play with them more. But yeah. Let's see. If I want to keep talking about that, I was gonna like switch topics, but yeah. The other half of the room is pretty bland. I just have like a table, like a white table. Not that any way like quantifies what kind of table it is. Oh, it's white. Ooh. Where I just put a bunch of art stuff on there. Let's see. Let's see. Any advice for beginning animators? Start is usually the best thing. Pick your medium. Play around with different types of mediums. There's like 5-7 billion types of animations. If you're a true beginner, start with like maybe like stop motion. It's a white table. Stop motion helps a lot because it's like real. It becomes like a real. It's a mix between like live action and animation, where it's like you're able to like stop motion really different. You figure out like the physicality of how things work because you're able to like pause time and then move it a little bit. You're able to like have a lot more creative freedom than a lot of other types of mediums. And that physicality really helps like really solidify how things. If you have like a cape on a character, you'll be able to figure out like how to make that work, like in physics. But it's becoming like easier and easier and cheaper to have whole stop motion types of setups. Let's see. You're being patient, so digital artist. Okay. If you don't like being patient, I would suggest probably not doing animation. It's probably the most patient heavy type of like hobby. It's not like video games where everything's like in real time. Art and animation especially will take not just skill but like definitely patience and figuring out like be willing to work for a little bit longer. Yeah. Okay. There you go. But yeah. For digital art, I think just being good at like regular drawing is probably a good start. I know mostly classic like Art 101 is doing figure drawing, where you have like a model and then you try to draw that person's pose or caricatures and stuff. So once you kind of get into that, then you can like make more facial expressions and go from there. But just like doing straight animation is going to be much trickier once you know most of the fundamentals of just art, really. Because then you'll be able to know like perspective and different, more advanced types of techniques first. So, yeah. Because I never get to finish one in one sitting. Oh, definitely. I never finish an animation in one sitting. So don't feel discouraged about that. Even with this little project today, it's probably going to take longer. That's it. Just had to click something. Okay. But yeah. For digital art, yeah, just try to get good at art first and then move on to animation. Because then it's like just making a whole bunch of sequences of art. It's what animation is. So, but like just like exercises or techniques, probably just start with like the simplest one that they always say is try to do like a bouncy ball. Because it helps with like easy drawing mixed with physicality, spacing, timing, and physics. You can figure out like how you can change like what kind of ball it is based on the speed and how much it bounces. Like if it's a bowling ball, it might only bounce, once compared to like a tennis ball that might bounce like 20 times. So, stuff like that to get ease into it, to like figure out like, easing is also important as well. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of tutorials and other stuff around. But yeah, but my advice would just start with art first. If that's gonna be like a fundamental to like get you into it. For me personally, I kind of like hide away behind my art, I guess, in some way, that I'm not using my fine hand-drawn. I'm not using hand-drawn animation. Everything you see on the Toast of Time is like the third version, really, of how I drew it. Even like I did like a stream or maybe something of like redoing this animation of the wings. So like I did like the animation of the wings like probably pretty bad, and then way later on, like maybe like a year later, I try to like redo it and refigure out like how to make sure it actually flaps a little better. So just know that you'll never get it on the first try is also a good point. And again, like what I was saying, like trying to hide behind my art, is that I'm not using my first sketch. Even like my second sketch is like somewhat better, but then it's like, I do it a third time. Even if it's the same drawing, it'll always look a little bit different. And using different techniques of how to draw as well. Where I'm using like a brush where I can like hand draw a bunch of drawings and just get a sketch out to say like, draw like the geometric shapes of like, here's the head is a circle, the body is a rectangle, and then the feet are a triangle. So you go from there, and then you draw another layer of more fine details, and then you kind of get that pretty good, and then do another layer where it's like final line art, if you do it that way. My process is to do that sort of the same way, where I just kind of do like a quick thumbnail sketch, then do a more detailed sketch, and then use a different tool, the line tool, that creates straight lines that I can bow and angle them. So those are in vector. Not that that really changes anything, but it just makes it easier to scale any object. So that's what you're seeing here, is that these aren't like my drawings. They're approximations and perfectly geometric to the point that are perfectly, points in space and lines that don't reflect how I originally draw it, is my technique, kind of a thing. Boop. Anime style and narration. Is that a good thing? I definitely have some influence with anime in some of my cartoons. Lots of people don't like line art for some reason, which is confusing. I think what they mean is that they might be more sketchy kind of a style, where line art is typically what I would think is that's when you do your final your final lines. So you can imagine that you spend like a couple hours or more trying to draw, you know, really loosely. You've been drawing loosely, like trying to make like really not connecting lines. Don't worry about perfect lines. And you just kind of just go and you say like, that looks pretty good. And then you do a new layer, and that's your line art. And that's when you like get very tunnel vision, and you do one line at a time, and you like figure out like what try to make like the perfect brush stroke. It's like, if you heard of like calligraphy, that's when you do these perfectly drawn letters that are supposed to be drawn like as accurately, trying to make it like accurate as possible. So that'll be the line art where people are getting frustrated because they want to be drawing this perfect level, but if they've been drawing loosely or whatever, it just becomes like really frustrating. It becomes frustrating when you try to draw that perfect line, and you see these people who keep undoing it because they're not getting that exact line and pressure and everything that goes into it all at the same time. I explained that a little bit earlier, that my layers are, I use like maybe at least one sketch layer, and then maybe sometimes a new layer where it's more detailed, and then I use the line tool to do like vector drawing. So everything you see on a toaster time is not my original drawing, but they're using a different tool and then using fills and flat colors with most of this. So there's only one layer of drawing, but each part that I make if it's a character, I would have like more layers, and say like, oh, the head might have like 20 layers inside it for like each part to be able to animate it. Animation called it tie down. Yes. So tie down is basically the line art for animation. It's hard to exactly explain, but it's just like saying like maybe like a shoelace. You know, you have a bunch of laces and you try to tie your shoe. So what do? You tied them down, I guess. I don't know where that's going, but it's like it's so tied down that it becomes like perfect and stuck and it's done, kind of thing. That's the final, is when you put the bow on, and then that'd be your tie down, which would metaphorically be your final line art, but for animation it'd be the final line art, because in animation you're not really animating necessarily, but you're just having a whole stack of pictures and art, and then your tie down would be your picture, kind of a thing. The 20 layers was for like for animation in my style. With the flash animation, it would be each part that I would want to change. Like if everything was on the same layer, then I wouldn't be able to move things actually. And Flash has more complicated things of like hiding layers inside of things, or having invisible symbols, and maskings and a whole bunch more stuff. So that's why the layers would be like, pupil left and pupil right would be different layers, and then you keep going from there depending on how many parts you would need. Like a mouth or a nose might be the same thing for a pony. Ears, hair parts might be part of that. But yeah, hello. Now someone uses those 300 layers per piece. Probably not for animation. But if you want to count like every part to a whole animation scene, might be, it's not really too close. But for every part, maybe. But for like the active parts or things that you actually may move or animate, then it'd probably be a little bit less. My voice needs to have a little bit more water. It's interesting that we got into animation when I'm doing a papercraft stream, but that's okay. I can do that too. Now that I'm moving on to doing papercraft only, we'll go back to art and animation later. But if you're looking for more advice, I'm still open for that. But I might end in like a couple minutes because this is already a toaster time. So, hang on. All right. So an early program I used a few years back. Animation-wise, I've been using Flash since the beginning. I started in 2013, so for about 7 years I've used Flash. That's child's play to newgrounds and older people who've been using it earlier. But animation-wise, I've used Flash the entire my entire career. Render stuff, mostly other Adobe stuff. Audition for sound effects and After Effects and Premiere. So I wouldn't say I really changed any of that. It should be all the same, unless there's anything else specific that you're thinking about that I've used. So I can't think of anything. Maybe an off chance I might have tried another program. I'm definitely using Blender right now to do 3D animation. So the Derpy movie in part 2 will have 3D sequences. So fully three-dimensional models and sets. No characters. The characters will most likely all be still Flash animated, but then I showed you last time that they're 2D planes that have the animation inside them. So that's about that. But yeah. On those other off chances I might have used for like testing to see if they worked, or like just playing around to see if by chance it seemed to be better. But I just haven't given benefit of the doubt, but they're not added as strong to me. I can't confidently use the other ones. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I've used OpenTunes. What was the other one? Krita? What was it? Never used Paint for anything. Maybe a Photoshop, but I never really animated that. Trying to think of any other kind of art things I've used. That's really about it. I never even did that weird draw.chat. That was not really an art program. I think that's about it. But yeah, if that's all good, I can wrap this up. Otherwise I can drink a little bit of water and I can end this, and then next time we'll finish this up and I can show you more room tour, I guess. Not that the other side is more interesting. Use Creative too? Oh, cool. You're laggy. Since I'm using Photoshop. Yeah. Yeah, let me think. I'll move on. Let's see. So, another news. Again, the Derpy movie, it's progressing. It's slightly on the back burner for right now, as the Folly of Celestia is still in active development. It's still going. We're just doing the final touch-ups. Still like a couple, like 3, 5 more, 10, who knows, more shots to clean up. And then we'll send that off to the editor, and then the editor will work their magic of adding audio and video stuff. I guess that's everything. But more specifically, I guess it would be like adding music, sound effects, audio mixing, video transitions, fade-ins, credits. So everything I said is not there yet. So we're still trying to get the animation for it done. But we're just doing the final, like, hey, what about when that horse does that motion? Could it be faster? Kind of stuff. Or can you have her blink 1 frame earlier? Or on this 1 frame, can you change this? So it's just a bunch of like laundry list of stuff like that. So, but it adds up and like adds more time. So, fortunately, we still wanted it to be. The original plan was to premiere it in some capacity. I don't know how finished, but The original plan was to premiere it fully, in quotes, at BabsCon, but unfortunately, everything's been going that has been canceled. So, I mean, it's sad, but honestly, for me, it's happy that we don't have like this shut in close kind of deadline. That it's like, well, we missed the April 10th deadline. Is that okay? It's like, sure. It should be fine with that. So, but yeah, we're still doing some final touches, and then that should be it. And then again, doing the post-production stuff as well. So, but yeah, we'll have a meeting. I say we. I and the animation team will have a meeting on Saturday. So, so by next week, I'll see like where we should be and see if there's anything more to clean up, and then keep it going, I guess. Or not, just turn it in and then say like done. I'm not part of the post-production team. I shouldn't be, because I've just worked for 3 hours on the animation. It's like I shouldn't have to also edit it. Because with Josh Scorcher's, like, he has editors. It's like, can't they work on it? So, yeah, should be nice. So, hope you guys, later will watch it. Should be pretty fun. Yeah. Okay. I think that's about it. I'll end it here. So, thank you guys for watching. Hope this was kind of fun. I'll have to watch it again. I'll watch the VOD on this to see if there's anything I can do on my end to see how to do it. Do anything differently, like make sure the lighting or something else is correct, or if I had my hands in the wrong place or anything. But yeah, that'll be up to me. Okay. Thank you so much. This has been fun. Thank you guys for joining. That's a lot of you guys still here. I'm impressed. Thank you. So yeah, thank you, and then until next time, that'll be the 31st. Ooh, cool. Okay. So it'll still be March. We can still finish. We'll finish this by April. So yeah. See you next week. Bye bye.